technology.
Oggi Agile.
Oggi Agile, it's not technology,
It's
methodology.
methodology.
Close to the subject.
Yes,
What do
yes.
you mean with Agile?
Agile is a group of practices, tools, knowledge, culture that influences the project development or the project IT projects in general. It's been used also in marketing and HR, and big companies use Agile these days, not only for technology as a lot of people might think.
Burn
And
in the
today's
technology field, but then developed it everywhere. So
Yes, of course. Yeah, it was firstly in the 12 manifestos of software engineering. I guess this was the kick start of Agile.
yeah, correct.
It's a case study today about
Yeah.
Agile practices to one of the projects we handled for our client. So we do give Agile services to a lot of our clients. Actually, it's one of the big circles we do have in Soren. Let's have Simone
The
Rossi,
guest.
the
Hello.
head of Agile Circle.
Hi.
And also we have Mattia Carcaiso. Mattia
Carcaiso.
from
Carcaiso, yeah.
Carcaiso. Sorry,
Hi,
Mattia.
guys.
Ooh,
No,
that's
don't
very
worry,
hard.
don't worry.
Yeah,
Mattia is the
this
software
name.
developer in DevArc Circle, one of our development circles, and we're gonna catch up with him about the areas we want to know from him. Let's start from Simone. I read your article on floating point. It seems like a huge project, and you chose to talk about this specific project because it has a lot of ins and outs. So it was a module. The client wanted you to take over the development area of a module they weren't working on, and just to imagine how huge the project was, there was like 27 development members in the whole project, and 6 were allocated for this module. Am I right?
Yeah, there were 5 teams of about 6 or 7 people for each module. And mine was regarding the documentation, so how the documents have to be handled, how they have to be recorded into the informatics system. And just first of all, the first thing that I have to do was to study the domain. I also bought a book here, the Informatic Protocol, to understand what we were talking about, because the first thing that I have to do was to understand the domain, then to understand what specification I had to prepare. In this case, the project was really very bureaucratic, so I couldn't prepare simple user stories like I do, but had to prepare detailed specifications that had to be approved by the customer, and each change in the specification.
No, sorry, detailed specification like the formal specifications we know in IT? You need to write formal specification.
Yeah, more or less, yes, like the formal known in IT, yeah.
Let's tell the people what's the difference between the formal specification and the normal flow chart or case study. What's the main difference between?
What usually is used in Agile are user stories, which is a simple sentence like, as a user, I want to do this so that I can achieve this purpose. And the purpose of making these short stories is they can be discussed with the development team, they can be discussed with the design, and so the user story becomes a greater story, but not just for the sentence, but for the process in building the final solution. While if the one single person have to prepare a detailed specification, then it becomes very rigid and very hard to change or to implement.
Which of course needs you to like approve it from the client. How is the stakeholder? What's the stakeholders here?
Yeah,
what's the role that you think?
Yeah, they need to approve the specification. We could discuss some points, like we need to change this point, we need to change another point. Also based, we didn't have the direct contact with their users because they provided a service for other professional people, for other users. And so they were, let's say, our interface between the final user. And so maybe they wanted to add one thing just for one user among 1,000 users. And so one single function just for one user among all of them. And this is not very agile. So
Sorry, no point.
No, I was thinking that one other point I had to do was to understand which were the requirements, the most important requirements, the legal requirements, because this project had also legal implications for the Italian law.
Exactly. That's what I was about to ask you, like archiving and data retention, and there is procedures and processes to do this, and I'm sure there is legal compliance to these procedures,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, like for instance, we couldn't archive documents in Google Drive, but we had to do to have a specific provider of this archiving service with
And we
they
provide this client with these solutions, or the client usually knows where we should store this sort of data.
in this case the customer chose their service.
Okay. Okay. You talked also about some impediments that you had in the project. One of
Mhm.
them, unfortunately, was removing one of the team members. Why?
Yeah, exactly. We were about the project lasted 2 years and a half, more or less, and in the end of the project, let's say the last 4 months, we had some conflicts with one team member that was a really hard-working person. He made a lot of extra hours, he did great work, but there were
Okay.
conflicts with other team members. He was very, let's say, impositive in his behavior, and other team members didn't like his way of working. And we had to decide, should we keep this hard-working person and maybe have the team disaggregate, or should we favor the team and maybe risk to lose some points, some features? So we told this to the customer. We told our decision to the customer to remove this person from the team. And what happened was that the remaining team without this person performed even better than before. So we, except for the first 2 days where the team wondered why for this decision, but afterwards there was a really great
On
improvement
a
in the
good
performance.
understanding of
Yeah.
why. But sorry, how did the client interact with this? Like, how did he act to this request from your side?
As I mentioned, we were at the final phases of the project, and the customer had faith in us, had faith in our behavior, so he accepted
He
our
trusted
decision.
the decision,
Yeah.
and he went on.
Yeah, and he saw the
Uh,
results.
I'm gonna leave some details for the people to please check the article on Floating Point to know why, where, and how, and what exactly happened in this project. It's very interesting. I would go to Mattia and ask you as a developer, how important is it agile practices for you as a developer?
Yeah, for the developers is important, but for me it's not unique way, for developing this methodology, because agile could be your best friend or your worst enemy. It depends of the type of the project. For example, maybe there are some large project. Where you need a clear specification, you need more documentation. So maybe a approach like old and classic waterfall could be a good way instead of the agile, because from the developer part you need all the documentation to understand what you have to do and what you have to develop. So maybe in this case agile is not a good approach. Maybe in other case agile could be a great approach, maybe when you have to need to work maybe quickly, and your focus is on to develop and release just for the first time the macro feature of a project, and in the second way maybe some little feature, etc. So in this case agile could be a good methodology, or if you want you can mix it together. For example, there are other projects where you can use a waterfall approach for manage a project, but for the develop part you can use, for example, a Kanban. That is typically not for the waterfall but for agile
But
methodology.
Kanban is still agile, yeah.
Yeah, and you can use it for the developer Kanban, so every developer can take the task from a backlog and develop in an autonomous way. So it depends. Agile is just a tool in your toolbox. You can decide it's not your unique tool.
That's the methodology. What about the person applying it, the product owner, or how strict he is to the process? Do you think this affects the project? the knowledge of the product owner to Agile and how he applies it to the project.
Yeah, it could be very, very useful because the product owner and or in other case, for example, Scrum Master or the old name that you want to know, can help you to understand better how you can develop some task or some feature. So this figure is
how he
important.
organizes the backlog, how he
exactly.
get in touch with the client to make things clearer.
Exactly. So there are backlog with different priority, and you know where for the priority of this task, and you can take all the tasks that you want. So it's an important figure. This one. So yeah.
So you think it's essential when the project is not defined, the requirements of the projects are not predefined correctly and clearly, especially in big projects or complicated projects.
Exactly. So for example, when a customer doesn't know exactly what is the outcome of a project. So in this case, Agile could be a good methodology to approach on the project, because you have a different interaction with the customer. So in each phase, the customer can understand better what want to add. If you want to add something, or you can remove something, edit other parts. So the customer would be a member
more
of the
clear
team
direction or transparency, clear direction. We're all heading to the same objective.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mattia. It was nice to hear from your side as a developer. Luca, I'm done. You have any questions for the guests?
Yeah, only one consideration is, first of all, that thanks to the word of Mattia and Simone, I think that we are very aware, or thanks to the experience in this project and the previous one, and many other one, we have a lot of awareness of what is the Agile methodology, how the strengths and the weaknesses of the Agile approach, and so on. So this is very good, because we are now in another, I think it's time to move on from the Agile, because it's the 23rd anniversary of the manifesto, the Agile manifesto. So I think that we have to keep in mind to be aware of the implication of the new paradigm of development software. As mentioned by Mattia, Agile is very good on, it's not a project management tool or a methodology, but it's a product management. So when you are not able to understand the results of the unique product that you are going to do, it's the best way is to go iteratively and incrementally. So this is done. There is no other option. If you have something that you are, that is very documented, you know,
exactly what you want.
Results, I think that you can go with classic project management or software project management methodologies, and they have something in common with Agile, because you have to meet constantly. So it's a bit confusing, but this is very important, and that's why it's very Agile. It's about practice and also discipline. So you have to practice a lot all the part of the methodology to be a good developer or a good dev team member, because product owner, Scrum, if you use Scrum, but what else? There are many other points, because with Simone, with everyone, we are having a lot of discussion on how to move on from Agile and to try to have our own manifesto, because there are many other implications. When you call Agile, you don't take in account that you have a customer. So you have the developer team in one company, the customer, the business in another company, a contract in between that is formal. So this is something that can be complicated, and true vision, true business model, different domain. So this is something that needs to be explored now and documented, because it's something new that is not in the Agile manifesto. So there are many other considerations. That's why we want to move on and try to use and rewrite some practices to help us and the customer to understand how the best way to proceed with a project with Agile methodologies, waterfall, or something in between, and so on. So you will see Soon.
new manifesto by Sorrent. The learning and the knowledge we took, we want to apply it in a new manifesto. That's interesting to hear, really. Thank you, Simone. Thank you, Mattia. And
Thank you.
Thank you, Luca.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mohab. See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Luca.
Bye.